Hello Flutter developers, welcome back to our Flutter tutorial series. In today's video we are going to dive deep into two important layout widgets, expanded and flexible. By the end of this video you will have a clear understanding of when and how to use these widgets in your Flutter app. Let's get started. So let's just see how the expanded widget works. We have this new project with this home screen with its cute little text. Hi, it's Sickle. So we will just use this simple screen to see how the expanded widget works. So I'll just remove this text, and in here we want our row. So in a row we can have children's, and the children's will be like this. So suppose we have these three containers, and with the color, let's say I can say the color is white or red. We'll remove this. I'll say the color is colors dot green, and the height of this widget is 100. So we don't see anything because we haven't provided the width. So I'll just give it a width as 100. So we can see that there is a block that is appearing on the screen. But what if we have three widgets like this? So I'll just copy them and paste it in here. So you can see that we have these three blocks. Now I'll just change the color. So we have this red and blue. So we can see that there are three containers that are showing up on the screen. So what if I want this blue widget or the blue container to fill in the whole screen? In that case, I can just wrap it with an expanded widget. So if I use the expanded widget, it will take all the available space, and the rest of the space will be used by these containers. But what if I just add one more container? Let's just say the color is brown. In that case, the size becomes equal. Now, what if I just want two containers to take up all the space? So in this case, if I wrap it as expanded, but to see it in action, we can actually reduce the size or the width of these containers. So if I just make the green and red containers with 50, we can see that these two containers are forcing the widgets and they're taking up all the space. We will see the exact same behavior if we had a column. So if I just change the row into a column, we are seeing the exact same behavior. If I remove the expanded from the brown container, it will just take the height that it's given, and the blue container takes up all the space that is left behind. This is helpful in situations where we want the widget to take up all the space that is left behind after laying out all the widgets in the row or a column. Now let's talk about flexible widgets. Similar to expanded, flexible is used to control how a child widget occupies space along the main axis. The main axes are different for column and row. However, flexible provides more control by allowing you to specify a flex factor. Let's see it in action. So we just remove this thing and we can use a row in here. We will use a container in here. We will give it a height. Let's say the height and width are both 100. The color, let's say we say it as colors.red. Remove the constant and we can see that a block is showing up. Now, what if we have two more containers? So if I just change the color, we can see that there are 3 blocks showing, or we can say that 3 containers are showing up in the screen. So now what we can do is that we can give it flexible. So if I just make it as flexible, it won't affect anything, because flexible is a widget that will take up the space that it requires. It won't fill up all the space that it needs. So in a row, when we use a flexible, it takes up the space that it requires. It doesn't take up all the space that it's provided with. So we have available space over here, but the flexible widget does not expand itself, does not force its child to expand to the whole screen. But we have a thing over here. We can use the flex factor. So we can read about the flex factor. The flex factor to use for this child. If null or 0, the child is inflexible and determines its own size. So it means that whenever we don't provide the flex factor, it only takes up the space that it requires. Now we can provide it with a flex of 2. But in this particular case, we have provided the width. So in this case, when the width is provided, it will only take up the space that it needs. In this case, 100. If I comment it out, we can see that now it's not taking up all the space. We can do the same for the pink container. We can wrap it with a flexible, but in this particular case, it won't affect anything other than taking up the space that it requires. In this similar case, we can give it a flex. So the flex can be 2. So in this case, when we wrap it up, we are actually making the 20% of the screen to be used for this specific widget. But now we also have given the width. We can remove the width and we can see that now the green and the pink container, they are taking equal space in the row, and the container with the red container with the specified height, we can see that it's taking only the width that it's given. We can also remove it, but in this case the container will disappear. But we can also wrap it in a flexible widget and give it a flex. So in this case, we can see that when the flex is 1, it's taking up less space, and it's giving the more space to the widgets that have a much higher value of flex. We can change the value of container pink to, let's say, 3, and it will take up more space than the other 2 containers. Let's just say we make it as 5, and it's taking up much more space than other 2 containers. And there you have it. Expanded and flexible widgets are essential tools for creating flexible and responsive layouts in Flutter. Whether you need a widget to fill all available space or control its proportion, these widgets have got you covered. Experiment with them in your Flutter projects and see the amazing layouts you can create. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more Flutter tutorials. Happy coding and see you in the next video.